Hello there, I am Black Bite News, and I don't know how many of you have seen the headline that says no entry to British citizens in the UK after the 26th of February. I mean, honestly, these headlines and what they do on YouTube and all over the place, it's really quite unnerving. So what I'm here to do really is to set the record straight, and I'll do that by reading you a story. Pretend you're going to bed and I'm reading you a bedtime story. Okay, I called it No Permission, No Travel. Brits denied entry into the UK effective the 25th of Feb 2026. So what's real, what's rumour, and what it means for people, including some British citizens. So welcome to my platform as usual. I'm Black Bite News, where I try to put context around headlines and make sense of the stories that are spreading fast online. And this is one of those cases where nothing material has suddenly changed, but the tone of the coverage has. The ETA isn't new news at all. The UK government has been signalling this shift for well over a year. Guidance has been live, airlines have been briefed, and travel media has covered it in waves as each rollout phase approached. What has changed recently is that we're now close enough to the effective date for enforcement, so the language has somehow become more impactful, more sensationalized, and some content creators are exploiting that. The substance inside the video is often technically correct, but presented as if it is a sudden shock, when in reality it's the final mile of a long announced process. So I would like to clear up headlines on social media and YouTube that claim you might be denied entry to the United Kingdom in February 2026, even if you're British. Is it fear-mongering? Is it real? And most importantly, what does it mean for real people planning trips home, visits or holidays? At the centre of the conversation is something called the UK Electronic Travel Authorisation, or, as I mentioned earlier, ETA, a digital travel permission that many visa-exempt travellers will need before they can board a flight, ferry or train to the UK starting the 25th of February 2026. The government has confirmed this requirement will be strictly enforced from that date. No ETA, and carriers will not allow you to travel that route. That's the basis of the no permission, no travel rules you're hearing about. Now, posts and videos with titles like "Even British citizens may be denied entry after 25th of February 2026" have caught viral attention. Let me reassure you right away, there's no official policy that says the UK will refuse entry to British nationals simply because of this change. What is true is that the mechanics around how British citizenship is proven at the border are evolving, and that's where a lot of the confusion arises. Here's the reality. Under the new system, the ETA is designed for non-British and non-Irish nationals, people who otherwise would travel visa-free to the UK. British and Irish citizens are exempt from needing an ETA to enter their own countries. But here's the wrinkle that sparks panic online. Dual citizens, people who hold a British citizenship and another nationality, traditionally could sometimes travel on the other passport for convenience. Under the new enforcement regime, airlines and carriers will check whether the traveller needs an ETA. If a dual British national tries to board using their non-British passport without an ETA, airline systems might treat them like someone who needs ETA permission and may refuse to let them board that service. That's the source of statements saying British citizens could be denied entry. It's not that the British government intends to bar its nationals from coming home. Rather, it's an operational consequence of how the ETA system is structured. And, as usual, imperfectly. One that puts the onus on travellers to present the correct documentation at check-in and immigration control. It's not a novel deportation policy. It's a documentation issue that can cause missed flights, denied boarding at the airport, and distress for families or dual nationals who don't realise they need to prove their British status properly. So what's behind the misunderstanding? The UK is transitioning to a more digitised border regime, similar in spirit, though different in detail, to systems like the US's ESTA. The ETA isn't a visa, it's permission to board transport bound for the UK. So it doesn't excuse you from, it's not a visa like they said, and it's not, doesn't guarantee you entry into the country that you're going. It's just authorization to travel. If you're on a passport that requires ETA and don't have one, airlines face fines if they let you travel anyway. So they're being especially vigilant. The government's publicly stated position is that British and Irish citizens don't need this ETA, but they do need to travel with evidence of their nationality that matches their legal status. That generally means a valid British passport or, in some cases, a certificate of entitlement to prove they're British, even if they're using a different passport. Different perspectives are emerging here. Some travel and immigration commenters point to this as a straightforward administrative hurdle, a push for clarity and modernised borders that, frankly, travellers should have time to prepare for. Airlines and travel agencies are already warning passengers to check their documents well ahead of February. Others, particularly people on forums and social media, are expressing genuine anxiety. If you grew up overseas, have a dual nationality and never applied for a British passport because you assumed your other passport was enough, these changes do feel punitive. To them, the sentiment is, I'm British. Why should I have to jump through extra hoops to enter my own country? That's a human interest story worth listening to. Echoes of this have been shared widely by British descendants in Australia and New Zealand, scrambling for passports or worrying they will be turned away at the gate. Another way of looking at it, embraced by some policymakers, is that this really is about security and efficiency. The Home Office has said the ETA system gives the UK clearer data on who's travelling in and out, helps to pre-screen low-risk travellers, and allows the country to focus enforcement on higher risk cases before someone even boards a plane or a train. That part of the rationale for giving carriers responsibility to check ETAs. So that's a part of the responsibility. Balancing these angles, the core truth is that the headline about British citizens being denied entry is misleading as a blanket statement. It isn't a new legal ban on entry, rather it is a borderline case of travel documentation mismatch that could lead to denied boarding by carriers if you don't have the right passport or proof of citizenship with you. That's an easily preventable problem, but one that would make for a very stressful airport moment if you're not prepared. So for anyone thinking of travelling to the UK this spring or summer, here's the bottom line, and I'll embed this in the fabric of this video. Check your passport you hold and whether you're entitled to a British or Irish passport if you have that citizenship. Apply now. If you don't already have one and want to smooth travel, dual nationals especially should be clear about which document to present when they check in, because the airline systems will enforce the ETA rules strictly. Second, if you do need an ETA, and most short-stay visitors from visa-exempt nations will, apply well in advance. The guidance suggests allowing a few days in case of extra review. And thirdly, if you're anxious because someone posted a viral video saying UK will deny entry to Brits, take a breath. The policy isn't about barring citizens from their own home. It's about making sure everyone has the right paperwork, the same way many countries already do. And yes, that includes ensuring carriers verify what they need to do before departure. We'll keep tracking how people and families are affected once the rules take effect, and we'll bring your voices from travellers, immigration lawyers and officials alike as the first weeks of the enforcement unfold. So I hope that makes sense. I hope it relieves some of you from any stress. And yeah, just make sure you have the right documents. That's all I'm saying. Take care now. Bye.